Hello friends, Cheryl here with inkedpulp, and I'm back with another fun video. Before I get started, I want to welcome everybody. If you're new to my channel, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you'll consider giving it a like and a subscribe. And if you're returning, you know I love you guys. I so appreciate my return viewers. So this project today is actually going to be in two parts, part 1 and part 2, and these are homework videos. So I'm going to a retreat in August, the beginning of August, and there are 2 swap items that I need to bring with me to swap with others. We're all supposed to bring something, and so I thought I'd bring you along as I create my swap items. I don't know that any of my subscribers will see this, but if you do, then you'll see ahead of time what my items are. So, like I said, this first one is a house, and I have to give a shout out to Joy DeFee. It was such timing. She just did a video on making houses, and I loved her idea so much. I thought, okay, I'm gonna, try to do something different. My take on her idea. So thank you and shout out to Joy, and I will link her video in the description. All right, let's get started. I've got supplies all around me. So we're going to start out, you really can start out with any size rectangle paper you want. This is about 8.5 and 4 inches wide. Now for my homework, the homework dimensions were 4 inches wide and no taller than 7 inches. And so we're going to fold this down for the roof. So mine's going to be a little shorter than 7 inches tall. I think it's going to be 6 inches tall, but it'll be, basically the same. So you can make these whatever dimension you want. Mine are starting out at about 8.5, a little less than 8.5. And I'm going to fold them down to let me see what I'm doing. It's my first video of the day, and I'm all discombobulated. So I think I'm going to fold them down to 6.5. I think that will be plenty. So I'm going to go 6.5. And I'm going to make these assembly line style, so I can get both done. So let's go 6.5. Now this one, yeah, let's do 6.5. I could take it down to 6 inches. That would give me a bigger roof, but you can really bend this over. You'll see in a minute. You can bend this as far as you want. All right, so here is my now these pieces that I'm using, this is from a collage. Actually, it doesn't matter. This is from some collage that I did in a book. This is a fun idea. I got this Get Ready for Medicare when I was getting ready to turn 65. And after reading it, I took all the pages inside and I collaged on one side of them so that I can rip out the collage and use it kind of like a mini masterboard on, projects that I'm doing. And so I came in here and got 2 of the pages for my houses. So if you get junk mail like that has lots of pages in it, you can always hang on a second. Not that one. There we go. All right, I'm going to sort of crease this. I've got these little tools with the balls on the end of them. And I'm going to take a very small one. This would be like putting it through my scoreboard, but I'm going to do it this way. And I'm just going to score it a little bit so it's easier to fold. I like using these for small things because it saves me from having to get out that big old clunky scoreboard. All right. So we're going to fold this down. And this is going to be our roof. Now, I could have gone down farther, but I chose just to take it down to this point. And you'll notice that I haven't finished off the backs yet. I will do that here in just a bit. But these are our houses. And so we're going to put a door on here and a window. And then I'm going to back these with, with coffee dye paper. And then I'm going to make a roof, and I'm going to use fabric and a piece of little cardboard so that it it stays stiff with the fabric on it. So I don't know if I need to. I guess I could go ahead and back those now. No reason not to. Let's see if I have a glue book. There it is. So we'll go ahead and put the backing on. I am going to sew around these as well. So. And I don't know if they really need to be backed because, hold on a sec. I don't know if they really need to be backed because they, could glue down as a piece directly onto a page. But if somebody wants to make them a floating piece, or I don't know what the person who gets these, I don't know what they plan to do with them, obviously. So, and I've got my great big glue stick here from Doris. I love this thing. I saw some other people using it, and I bought it because I like, for big pieces like this, it takes forever to get the glue stick on with using those little tiny glue sticks. And then this is too big for small pieces. So now I have one of each. All right, let's put these down. And then we'll cut. What did I do with my big scissors? I've got a big pair of those Tim Holtz scissors that I really enjoy using. So, because they cut they cut real well, but they also cut, along a big piece. I'm just going to go ahead and cut that up to the top, even though I don't need it that high. All right. And then we'll cut these off at the top. I suppose I could just fold that down. And in fact, I think that's what I might do. I don't want to get it too thick because it does have to bend down. This roof has to come down. So I don't want to make it so thick that it has a hard time bending. But I think this paper is pretty pretty good. And let's run a bone folder. Actually, I'm going to run this over it. And a couple little wrinkles in there, but it's good. And this was cut a little bit crooked, so it didn't quite fill it up, but you'll see that's not going to matter because we're going to put something else over the roof. We're going to put fabric. And so we'll have that covered up. All right, let me finish cutting these out. Actually, I'm going to leave these to sit for just a bit and dry so that cutting them is a little bit easier. And we'll go on to making the roof, and then we'll come back to this. Okay. So we'll be inking around the edges and doing all the good stuff there. But like I said, I don't know if somebody will want to just slip this in as a freestanding piece or yeah, I'm going to leave the rest of that to dry. All right, now the roof is 4 inches wide at the top, and we're going to make it just a little bit more. I'm going to make it I guess this doesn't matter. Let's see. So I want to make my roof slanted a little bit. So I need to cut off a straight piece first so that I have something straight to work with. And so I want to go like 4 1/4. It doesn't have to be, you could do 4 1/2 if you want it wider. And then I'm going to make it what did we say that was? 2 inches. So we're going to go 2 inches. And 2 inches. And these are our pieces for the roof. And these are a little bit thicker. But we're not going to, have to fold them. So I think it'll be okay. Okay, so now if we look at these are going to go this way. And you know what I'm going to do, because that doesn't give me much of a, I'm going to take 1/2 inch off of both of these. I'm going to make them 3 1/2. Let's do it this way. And I'll show you why here in a minute. We'll make those 3 1/2. There's that one. And that one. And I'll show you why I'm doing that. See, we didn't have the glue completely dry. There we go. All right. And the reason I did that is because I want to mark this at 3 1/2 inches, and then we're going to cut it at an angle. so that the roof is angled a bit. And so I wanted it to have a little more angle than what I was going to get with the 4-inch. Wouldn't have been much of an angle. So we'll take this, and I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm not going to measure it out perfectly. This is about well, let me do a little bit of math. So this is 4.5 minus 3.5. That's 1, right? I could have done that. So I'm going to go in 1 inch here and 1 inch here. And that will give me, now if I go from the, I should have been able to measure that. If I go like this, and I go like this, just looking to make sure my sides were somewhat even. Pretty close. All right, now if we cut these, now if you're just going to use paper on this part, you don't really need to. Yep, they go in a little bit farther than the flaps, but we can cut those off. So there, we've got a little, and we'll take this in a 1/2 inch on each side. Okay, and then I hate having to do math when I'm doing a project. This one's not going to have quite as big a slope to it. I cut it a little bit different. Okay, so we'll go there and there. All right. Now, here we go. There is the other one. Now that's more fitted to that. So the one for the, I'm going to use this one for my homework piece to go to retreat, and I'll use that there because it fits better. And then on this one, once I get it glued down, I will just, cut these little tops off. All right, the next thing I want to do is cover them. Okay, let's see. Is this the retreat one? Okay, that goes with that fabric, and that goes with that fabric. All right, so now we're going to glue this down to a piece of fabric. Okay, and then I will kind of fold up the edges. Now I'm going to use Fabri-Tac for this. And there are parts of this video, like once I've showed something one time, I may go off and put you on pause and go off and do the other one so you don't have to sit through it 2 times. My Fabri-Tac's getting thick. Time to put some acetone in it and thin it down. It's hot and humid here. That's probably why. Okay, where's my... There it is. I love using these silicone brushes with Fabri-Tac because when the Fabri-Tac dries, the stuff just peels right off. There's no fuss in getting it done. All right. So let's see, what part would I like to be on the roof? Maybe that part right there. Don't quite get it straight, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be straight because this is pattern paper. Okay. And now at the top, I don't need to wrap it over. I can just cut right down to the edge. The only wrapping over that I really need to do is on the sides, because you'll see what I'm going to do top and bottom, and it will take care of the raw edge. Okay, there's that. All right, there's that one. And maybe I'll just use art glitter glue for this part. Ooh. I didn't use a stainless steel pin in it, and it is brown. I need to find my stainless steel pins. I have some, and I thought these were it, but apparently not. But as soon as that brown glue is gone, the whole it'll all be white again, and it doesn't really matter for this. All right. So now this one is going to go on here. Look at that roof. Isn't that just cute? The reason I'm thinking, well, I'll come back later to it if I need to. Let's put down, oh, you know what? Have I cut this all the way down? I know I was going to let that glue dry a little bit before I started doing too much cutting. Yep, that looks good. All right. Let's put some art glitter glue all the way out to the edges. I may be sewing the top of this, but I'm not sure. We'll see. I know I'm going to sew around the house body. But you want this right up to that line, the fold line. Okay, right up to the fold line. And then it's, all right. We'll put some trim on this because it's showing, or I could just cut it off. I don't have to have it that long. Hang on. I don't know where my measurements went wrong, but they did. And if something's going to go wrong, it's usually my measurements. There. Okay. That works. All right. So now we have a roof. Now, what I'm going to do on this roof is put some lace. And I'm not working on these assembly line anymore. I've kind of just focusing on this one. So I thought I'd put some little bit of lace on here on the roof. So we'll take our little bit of Fabri-Tac here. And then when I get off camera, I'll do the other one. I won't make y'all sit and watch two of them. Well, goodness sakes. What in the world is going on here? I just used this. Let's try to use some art glitter glue. I think the fabric will stick to this. The lace. Put a good amount on there. All right. Goes this way. Just put it down like this and try to make sure you get it somewhat straight. There we go. Oops. It hasn't stuck yet. I need to give it a little chance to stick before I start picking it up. The other thing I'm going to do is take some washi tape, or I could take different lace or different fabric or some trim, but I think I'm going to use washi tape to put over the roof line there. I just got to figure out which one I'm going to use. This is kind of fun. Pink polka dots. Nah, maybe I don't want that one. Let's see what I've got. How about avalanche? Avalanche. How about this orange one? I kind of like that. Or maybe we'll use that one. All right. Alrighty then. Let's put this down. Kind of put it so those three flowers are somewhat centered. Okay. There's that. And then it's going to fold over onto the back. All right. All right. The next thing we're going to do is make I think we can cut off this lace now. I think that's probably dry. All right, I've got some of this leftover washi tape I'll keep. All right, so here's where we're at so far. Isn't that adorable? So now what we're going to do is make a chimney. And I saved some of the I saved some pieces of that collage. There they are. And I thought that I would and that chimney's a little too wide, so we'll take it down. It'll be a book page chimney. Okay. And that's way too big. So there we go. We'll cut that down put that chimney on there. All right. Let's ink up these couple edges that I cut off. Now, I did not cut them 100% straight, and that's okay because that's okay. All right, let's do this. And on one side it's a torn edge, on one side it's a cut edge. Again, I'm not worried about those things because these are quirky houses and they're supposed to be kind of quirky. Okay, so there we have a roof. Now we're going to make doors. Let's see, what do we want to use for a door on this one? How about, got some strips of paper here. That's two. These florally ones are too close, I think, in color. Let's do, it was funny when Joy was doing hers, she made her door really tall. And there we go. There's going to be the door. And we can put some shadow around that when we're all done. But let me ink it up. Then we'll put on a doorknob. And then we'll make a window. And then I can do some sewing. This is very similar to the one that Joy did. She just didn't use any fabric in hers or lace, and those are just a couple of things that I really like, and so I thought I would use them. All right. So let's put that door right there. Oh, I put the writing upside down on that, but it's so small you'll never notice it. All right, so there's the door. And then I have an idea for a doorknob. I have these, no, I just want the orange. I have these little hole reinforcers that a long time ago I had used alcohol ink on them to color them, and then I did some stamping on them, and they just came out so cute. So I thought that I would use one of these along with a brad. Yep, let's do this one. So the first thing that I'm going to need to do, and I should have done this before I put the backing on, but I didn't. We can put something over it. Let me find. There we go. I've got an extra piece of this, and I'm just going to put the doorknob on here right about in the middle. And again, it doesn't have to be realistic. Most doorknobs are probably not right in the middle of the door, but so before I take that hole reinforcer off the page, I want to get the brad through so that I can center it. And I'm not going to be able to do that, am I? I'm going to have to take it off. Silly me. I was thinking maybe I could. That's okay, I can still center it. Come on. One sec, let me get these up with a tweezer. Now this I'm kind of anal about. I do want it centered. And I don't know why I'm so picky about this part of it when the other stuff doesn't bother me at all, but I do want this to be centered. Okay, good enough. All right, let's put this down. Move just a little bit. And then let's press it down tight so that our brad goes down tight. And we can put a little sticker over that or whatever. But there's our doorknob. Now, as far as the window, Joy just drew a window up there. And I thought about doing that, but then I thought if I draw a window and cut it out, I might be able to put like a yellow paper behind it to simulate light coming through. Or I could just draw it on. And I think at the end of the day, I'm just going to draw it on because I'm not confident enough in my skills to do it the other way. So I'm just gonna there we go. All right, there's our window. And I might go, I just don't want it to look like prison bars. I might go 2 down here. And 2 up here. Okay. Now, what I'm thinking I might do also, so there's our window. I could put some little shutters on there. I could put a little window box underneath the window. And this still has some of that roof paper or roof fabric on it. So I could put this, and then I could put a couple of flowers in there. Let's do that. Let's do that. And then we'll put a couple of flowers on there. Okay, so there's our window. There's that. Now, let's find some little flowers. Put on that window box. And I just want to make sure this is sufficiently dark here. Okay. For it to really show up as a window. All right, let's see what I've got as far as little tiny flowers. And I know I have some. Like here's some yellow and peachy color. They've got some sparkles on them. So we could put some peachy and some yellow. And what about that? What do y'all think about that if I glued those in there? Some peach and yellow. And then we'll have our little window box with flowers. Now you notice I'm not really using the same colors over and over again, not the same. It's all different, so it's very eclectic. And let's see if I have any other. I've got these little white ones. I wonder if one white one might be maybe kind of hanging off the side. Yeah, I think that works. Okay, let's put these down. I love this little window box idea. I love it a lot. Now, this is not something that Joy did on hers, but she did mention, you can embellish them however you want. It's not, there are certainly no hard and fast rules here. So we'll get those down, and then I think I'll put this little white one right down here on the side. Like it's kind of hanging over the window box. Okay, there we go. There's our window. There's the opening, so when you open it, it's, it looks just the same as the rest of the tag. And I think the one other thing I wanted to do was go around with my, I think I might just use a graphite pencil rather than something too dark. We'll see. I want to go around, nope, that's not going to show up. I want to go around, and there's a Stabilo, and it's broken. Can I use it? Nope. Let's leave that one out so I know I have to sharpen it. This is a Stabilo. It's not a Stabilo all, but I don't plan on wetting this down. I just want to get enough to get some shadow on this door. There we go. Especially on the bottom where, that's going to be a landing, and we probably will have some steps that would be going down from there. I'm not going to do those today, but you could get really elaborate with this and do all sorts of stuff. So there we go. Let's just do it all the way around. I know shadows don't typically happen all the way around. Got a little piece coming up here. A little piece of the original collage. There we go. I know shadow is dependent on where the light source is, but hey, this is a whimsical thing, so I don't think it really matters all that much, to be honest with you. What I could have done too is I could have taken some ribbon, some real thin 1/8 inch ribbon, and made that window instead of just drawing it on. But it's okay. Lots of things you can do. And then there's one more thing after this, and then we'll call it a video, and then I'll do part 2 of my homework video. So I'm really looking forward to this retreat. It's going to be a lot of fun when we move these flowers out of the way. All right, here we go. Now, the last thing I want to put on here, you know how a lot of times we'll set a plant beside our door? I have a couple of things. I have this one that's three-dimensional. It's awful big, though. It goes almost all the way up the door. I don't think we want it that big. What about... that one you can't see very well. Let's try this one. If not, I've got some stickers we can use. I think that's still too big. I think when it goes up over half the door, it's probably too big. Usually our house plants beside our doors are smaller. So I've got this sticker book. This comes from Paper Studio. Oh, I've got something else in there. And I love these little sticker books. I oftentimes can find them on sale. Still awful big, but it's the best one I've seen yet of all of them. I need something in a pot. Here we go. How about this little spider plant? And I love it that these are kind of like washi stickers. So that's going to be too light. Again, so it's just going to blend in with that background. So I need to find something that is going to be a little bit darker, the leaves. And this is another one of those tall ones, but let's see how it looks. There we go. And then what I'm going to do after that is, okay, where'd they go? I have some colored pencils, and I'm just going to color in this pot a little bit so that we can see it better. There we go. And I'll keep playing with that. So what I'll do is play with that a little bit and make that pot stand out a little more. I've got some Sharpie markers that I might use on that because it's not darkening it up as much as I would like, but we've got stuff and I can always find more stuff. I can get markers, I can paint. Oh well, this is getting better. Okay, there we go. And I'll keep working on that because I want it to really, oh, you know what I can do? I can take a little brush because these are Inktense pencils and I can put a little bit of water on them. Now, I don't know what this will do on the washi tape material. There. All right. So you guys get the idea. So I'm going to put a little color in there, and I'll work on that with some of my other tools that I have in my arsenal, because I do have different. Oh, here we go. This is a pit marker. It's got a chisel tip on it. There we go. That's the darkness I was looking for. And I'm going to leave it with a few of these little cross pieces showing through like it's a basket. And put the little rim up here. All right. That's better. Now that looks like a basket, doesn't it? All right. Much better. All right. So there we go. Oh, the sewing. I haven't sewn around it yet. Let me pause this video for just a second and I'll be back. All right, friends, I'm back. Check out that. We did just a tiny little zigzag stitch around. And I think that is an adorable little house. And I hope that my swap partner will like it. I'm going to put something behind that to stiffen it up a little bit. I hope my swap partner will love it. I hope you love it. I hope you try one. And if you try some different decorations and different, ideas, please let me know. I think double doors would have been really cool here too. Put 2 of them. But yeah, send me pictures, inkedpulp@gmail.com, and show me, some of your creations on these little houses. But homework piece number 1 is done. I'm going to go work on the one for my idea book, and then I'll be back with another video for homework piece number 2. Thanks for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you haven't, and subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks, everybody. Bye.